Good. Look, let's start with some team news. I gather you've had several young players or younger players training with the squad over recent days. Can you just update us as well on Reece James? And is Kepa going to play against Morecambe?
I'm not going to talk about the starting lineup for Morecambe, but Reece James is out for the game. Although he will be training with us tomorrow, but the game comes too early. The same as Andreas Christensen, and N'Golo Kanté is out also. Minor hamstring injury, which misses this game. He's suspended for Fulham next Friday anyway, so we'll get him right. Those three are out, and the young players we've had training because of the original COVID rules meant we could only have a certain amount of players plus staff in the bubble. An alteration to that recently has meant that we can have some academy players to call upon who are being tested quite rightly in the process. And that's a big plus for us in terms of being able to train at the level we want to train. So they've been in to train with us, and some may be involved for the game on Sunday.
Look, with Kepa, he's only played, I think, 4 matches for you this season. He's an international goalkeeper. Look, the window is open. Do you still see his future very much as a Chelsea player, or is this perhaps an opportunity that might suit both the club and him if he were to go elsewhere?
Well, at the moment he's our player, and I think the situation is clear. Edu's come in. He's been playing pretty much regularly as a number one for us, and I think with Kepa, when he has come in the latter Champions League game and did well, he's trained really well. He's trained really well, and his attitude around the place has been brilliant. So I won't be drawn on that one at the moment. He's our player. We'll see how January goes, but I certainly don't want to be alluding to what might or might not be.
With the new strain of COVID around, I gather the Premier League has written to all clubs with a sort of updated protocol. Among the things that are coming in, more powers for the Premier League compliance officer, 3 coaches being used to transport players to matches instead of 2. All substitutes on the bench have to wear face masks, and they'd like to limit further the number of people on site at training grounds. Do you welcome that or not?
No, I certainly welcome the thought process, because we're in a different situation again, and anything that is taken any measures taken for health and safety, we have to take very seriously, and we do. I think as do all Premier League clubs. There's always a balance. Every training ground looks different. It's important that the Premier League come down and interact at those training grounds to see the facilities, to see how it's been run. And I think if there's a rule for one, it pretty much should be for everybody to keep fairness. But yeah, things like the things that you've just mentioned, I think are just things that we have to take care with at the moment, and we'll do it as we're told by the Premier League, and we also have responsibility ourselves to do it as well as we can for the players and staff that are clearly in what is an official lockdown, are still coming to work daily and going home to their families. So we have to do everything right.
Last one, Ian, please.
The latest Premier League figures show 40 positive tests over 2 sets of testing. Were there any positive tests at Chelsea? And do you have any safety concerns about playing Morecambe, who until just a few days ago had their whole squad in isolation?
Yeah, not just about playing Morecambe. I'm not going to talk about them necessarily, but I do have concerns because of the current climate. We have had some positives. We haven't had any players positive in the last couple of rounds. We have had small numbers of staff, which because we've been testing so regularly all the time here, I have to say our medical team have been fantastic. Over and beyond what the Premier League are laying down, we test, we take people out, we don't take any risks with anybody, and I think that's only right. Of course, whilst the country is in lockdown for a reason, whilst football carries on, it means there's a lot of mixing going on. That the country is in lockdown for a reason, as I'll repeat. So it's not the norm. We have to be ultra careful. So I'm not completely comfortable, but we have to toe the line. We have to try and keep playing, but safety must come first. And I think this is a real. There are lots of moving parts and things that are changing day by day, week by week, and I think that's just how we have to look at it.
Moose.
Hi Frank, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks, Moose, good.
Can I ask you what you made of Sean Dyche's comments yesterday about the vaccine, and maybe to keep football going and to save some money because of testing, that footballers maybe should be bumped up the list in terms of when they get the vaccine?
Well, firstly, I think I want to give Sean some credit here, because I think that the way you've said that comment, I saw his comments, could come across very badly. And as I listened to Sean and thought he was pretty clear about it, I think he said it with all the right reasoning. From the point of view, I've just been talking about lockdown happening in the country, but lockdown's not happening in football. So some people say, well, why not, and all these things. Now, if players and staff, we have 85 people in our bubble when you include the young academy players, and as I say, some staff who are of different ages, different healths, different families, different situations. So I understand that we are in very difficult times. In terms of the vaccine, I think my personal opinion, where we are so early in this process, and I do listen and I do read and I do watch the news, I think it's so important that we absolutely prioritise, as the government are doing, people that are in vulnerable situations to get the vaccine first. I think that has to come first and foremost. Morally, I think it has to. Practically, I think it has to. And there may be a time down the line where we look at sports, but I don't think it's that time right now, personally. But I absolutely understand, and I think it's important that people are not scared to stand up and say something which they think. And I think, well, Sean's not that type of person, but I think it's a valuable debate. My opinion is it shouldn't happen now.
Can I talk some football with you as well?
Yes, please, yeah.
Okay, first question. I was at Chelsea 2, Bradford 4 in the FA Cup, which I think is probably one of the biggest shocks I've ever seen personally. And I remember, although you didn't play, you were part of the Chelsea team that lost 1-0 at Barnsley in 2008. So Sunday's not a foregone conclusion, is it, Frank?
No, it certainly isn't. And if you remember how that season ended against Bradford for Chelsea when they lost that game, all Chelsea fans do. So no matter form, no matter team, no matter status, the FA Cup has a magic that's been there forever, which means that underdogs will turn up, will try and win, will make things difficult for you. And considering our current form, of course, we have to be even more on guard and worry about ourselves and get ourselves playing well. Because if we play well and we do our job right, then we will win the game, I believe. But we have to respect Morecambe and respect the FA Cup.
And one last one from me. I mean, you maybe are under a little bit of pressure because of the results recently. You can decide whether you are or not, rather than me. But in terms of some of your players, like Timo Werner needs a goal. So is your consideration, if I play him against Morecambe, really someone of that calibre should score so he'll get his confidence back? Or is your consideration he maybe needs a rest to get his confidence back, to take him out of the firing line? How many big decisions have you got to make?
Well, to be honest, Moose, with a squad of 20 plus, a big squad of players, I have those decisions every week in different ways. So without isolating, you mentioned Timo as an example, but without isolating one player, I'm always thinking of form and fitness and what it means for the group and what it means for the individual, and that's part of my job. So I understand the point. I will take a view with Morecambe. Firstly, can we win the game? First and foremost. Secondly, are there players that need a rest? Are there players that need minutes? Are there players that need confidence? Because confidence has been hit with a difficult patch you've had recently. So I'll kind of try and balance that out through the team, but I'll pick a team to try and win the game.
John Southall, 5-1.
Thank you.
Hi Frank. Hi Frank. How you doing?
Hi John. Hi.
Just talking about the confidence of the players, have you noticed a difference at all in them around the training ground? Has their confidence been hit, do you think, by what's happened over the last month or so?
I think it's normal that in a difficult time, football relies so much on confidence individually and collectively. And the easy times are when confidence is flowing, 16 games unbeaten, coming out of Leeds, everyone is fine, everyone is happy, people move the ball well, pressure doesn't affect them on the pitch, they receive it and move it well. And it doesn't take long sometimes for that to change. That's top level football. So I'm not surprised to see some moments like that in game, in training. And of course, then players become, they need a lift. That's my job, that's the staff's job, that's their job, because there's only way out of a dip in confidence, and that's to work hard. I don't know any other way out of a lack of confidence than to sprint your way out of it and fight your way out of it, because those are the rules of football. So you shouldn't be in this game unless you understand those moments come, and the players know that. I've been very clear with them on that, and that's where our challenge is.
And just 2 points on that. Does it make your job harder? Because obviously when you're winning, it's presumably easier to keep everybody happy, but when you're not, maybe not so easy. And how does it affect you? Are you a kind of person who can just put the pressure to one side and kind of ignore it, or does it get to you as well?
I think on the first point, when you have a squad as big as we do, it means I probably have more non-starters than I have starters every game. in our squad, and it's only human nature that players find that tough. I found it tough when I didn't play. When you have so many, it means that you're asking probably for something a bit impossible if you ask for them to have a happy face and give everything every day and work through the week and not turn up for the business end. I think anyone in any job would say the same. You wouldn't turn up if you did your research all week and then someone took this interview away from you or a piece, or you didn't go to the game. I think that's really normal. So that's always a challenge, and I think in difficult times those challenges are always heightened for me and for the players. So that's something that we need to, if there is a little bit of edge around those times, good. Let there be edge. Let people show that they deserve to be in the team, train the right way, act the right way, and get in the team and stay in the team. So that's part and parcel of having a squad. In terms of myself, I have to say I came into this job to expecting pressure, and I have to say that my personality means that I'm weirdly quite strange. Probably you probably have to be to do this job at times, but when things are going well, I put more pressure on myself because I don't like things going well, because I worry what's around the corner. I worried about complacency. With the unbeaten run, I was constantly under pressure myself about people telling me how great we were. Now I find this more challenging in a good way in terms of my job, because I can find out more about myself. I can find out more about every member of the team, every member of the staff, and it actually makes my job more exciting. Now, of course, I understand the pressure heightens because I understand the expectations of a club like this, but I love doing what I'm doing, and I never expected an easy run in this job. I've come to a huge club in Premier League and world football in the process of a rebuild. That was never going to be an easy run, so I have to expect these situations.
Okay, last two in this section, Nick Purewall and then Nizar to finish. Nick.
Frank, you say about that, that you find it more exciting. If you can sort of project that energy to your players, that will help as well, won't it, to sort of carry through a difficult time. And just on Andreas's injury, good news then that if it's not a serious one, because obviously, and also he got perhaps a little bit of unfair stick, did he, for the, because am I right in thinking that the injury was from the challenge again in the Villa game, and he obviously did have an injury. He wasn't just staying down for the sake of it or anything like that. Yeah,
I'll put that right straight away. The injury was absolutely from that moment in the Villa game, and it was probably typical modern day reactions where Andreas takes stick. He's been out, he's injured. The injury isn't too bad, which is the good news for him. So he'll be back training with us tomorrow. And then the first part of the question, I mean, yeah, it's my job to be like that. I have experience of, I don't think there was a season that I played at this club, for all the success we had over the years, where we didn't have difficult moments and meetings and a defeat or a double defeat or whatever, a run of patch, a bad month, a bad period. It's part and parcel of being a player. So I'm the first one that has to be positive and get excited about losing games is the biggest chance to improve in football. So it's the biggest chance to get better. And when you're a squad that's growing and young and new and players that are coming in, those are the moments that test them and make them better players. I can't sit here and say I have absolute belief that Kai Havertz and Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic are going to be top level players as they reach and arrive in their prime of their careers. If I say that it's going to be an easy run from them, it's impossible in football. So I have to be the one that states that to them, keeps their chin up, keeps them working, understand the reactions needed in tough moments. And then the rest is down to them, because players will always be the ones that get you out of those moments. They have to go and perform.
Last question is on.
Hi Frank, am I right in thinking there's 5 academy players who've sort of stepped up into the bubble? I just wanted to talk about them really and see what they brought to training and what excites you about about them and their abilities and the potential for them to play. Maybe going through each one who's been called up.
Yeah, I mean, we've called up both Tinos. We've called up Jude, who's been scoring goals in the youth team. We've called up Lou Bate, who's trained with us before. We've called up Henry Lawrence. Sorry if I'm missing any, but they've been training with us all week. It's great experience for them. It's something that I wanted to do and was able to do last year at the club pre-restart. It helps training because for me it's really important to have competitive training, and having young numbers allows you to be really competitive without killing the players physically in between games. We've had a long week and they've been able to really help there, and they've also shown their qualities and come in, and it's always great to gauge young players, not only how quickly they take to the football side of training, but how quickly their personalities take to the uplift in pressure and level in training. It's something that I've always believed passionately about for the club. And I've seen a lot out of all of those players that have come to train with us, that they're real potential for us. There's lots of steps for them in all their different ways. But I've been really pleased to be able to do it because it's good. It's good for the older players because they see the younger players can speak to them and help them. It's good for the younger players to see what they can aspire to.